Hey guys, I've been a Challenger player since set 3, and in this video I'm going to be giving you an advanced guide on Econ. So many people think that Econ is pretty simple. You just save up till you have 50 gold, push levels, and then finally roll down. However, it's actually a bit more complex than this. For example, chances are most of you are probably not optimally playing around streaks, which gives a total of 3 extra gold a turn. If you aren't doing this, you probably are only playing around 70% of your potential gold in a TFT game. In this video, I'm going to briefly cover the basics of Econ, and then talk about how to build gold efficient boards, when to hold pairs, when to roll on suboptimal intervals, tempo, and how to properly play around your streaks to get that extra 3 gold per turn. I'll also be including a leveling flowchart in the comments below for you guys to follow step by step in your TFT games. Alright, so before I jump into the hard part of the guide, I just wanted to take a little bit of time to briefly run through some of the Econ basics and why they're important. Basically, in TFT, what you need to understand is that in the early game, you're going to be offered a lot of these 1-cost units. They're pretty good early, however, they will always get outscaled late game by the 4 and 5-cost units. However, these units actually cost a lot of money, and they are only accessible in the level 7 and 8 shops. And this is why Econ is important, because you want to accelerate your leveling to get to that high level to be able to close out games with these high cost units. So this brings me into my first point, that gold is going to be a lot more valuable early game than late game. The reason why is because in the early game, the player damage is very low, and towards the late game, the player damage is going to be very high. What this means is that in the early game, it is the best possible time for you to exchange your HP for gold. Basically, in TFT, there are a few key stages where you have to make a big Econ decision. These stages are going to be stage 2-1, 2-5, 3-2, 4-1, and 5-1. So at stage 2-1, the decision you want to make is whether or not you want to level. So you want to stay level 3 at stage 2-1 if your board is shit. The reason why is because even if you level to 4, your board is going to be shit anyway because you don't have a good 4th unit to play. The other scenario is if you're holding a lot of pairs. So like, let's say for example, you're sitting on Poppy pair, Maokai pair, Irelia pair, Tristana pair. If you level to 4, your shop odds of you getting another 1-cost unit is going to be lower. So you're actually decreasing the chances of you getting a stronger board from your next shop. I would level to 4 if you actually have a good 4th unit to play and your board is upgraded and you actually have a strong slammable early game item. In this situation, it's very likely for you to actually win the next 4 or 5 rounds, and that's when I would level to 4. So at stage 2-5, you generally level to 5 here. I would probably stay level 4 if you lost the first 3 rounds and your board is still absolute garbage and you're going to lose the next 2 rounds anyway, even if you level. At stage 3-2, you almost always level to 6 here and you should have around 30 gold. It's sometimes correct to roll here. However, this topic is a bit more complicated. I'll cover this in the later part of the video, but just keep this in mind. And at stage 4-1, this is meta dependent. In the current meta, the 5 costs are kind of weak, so even if you go level 8, you can't really play around the 5 costs. And the player damage is extremely high in the mid game, so if you don't have a stable board at stage 4, you're basically sacking stage 4-1, 4-2, and 4-3, which is 40 HP that you're giving up. In a future meta, when I think they're going to nerf player damage and they're also going to buff the legendaries, that would be when it's correct to only slight roll here and then push 8. Because at level 8, you actually have some good shit you could hit, and you don't actually take that much damage at stage 4. And whenever you can get to level 8, you just roll down to 0 every turn until you're stable. And when you 2-star most of your board, then you could go 9. But right now, this is extremely unlikely. So in TFT, in the early game, it's actually not all about playing your strongest board. You actually want to play something called a gold efficient board. So let's take a look at 2 different boards. In this board, I have a 2-star Maokai and a 2-star Renekton with a 1-star Jhin and a 1-star Tristana backline. In this other board, I have the exact same setup for my front line. However, I'm instead playing around a Vel'Koz and a Sona. So if you compare these 2 boards, this Vel'Koz and Sona board is probably a bit stronger just because you're playing around higher cost units. However, let's take a look at how much these boards cost. In this board, we have a 6 gold front line, a 1 gold Jhin, and a 1 gold Tristana. It's an 8 gold total board. But in this board, this entire board costs you 12 gold. So this is a 4 gold difference. And this 4 gold can be used to generate you passive income every single turn. So if you decide to play Vel'Koz and Sona and hold these units, it's probably going to cost you around 10 to 15 gold late game for playing this board, as opposed to just playing something like a Jhin and a Tristana. And the biggest difference is, in the early game, it's way more likely for you to hit a 2-star Jhin and a 2-star Tristana than for you to hit a 2-star Vel'Koz and a 2-star Sona. So let's say you hit this 2-star Jhin and this 2-star Tristana. These boards actually cost the exact same except this first board is going to absolutely shit on the second board. And let's say in a hypothetical scenario, you manage to hit like this random 2-star Vel'Koz at stage 2-1, it's honestly probably not even correct for you to upgrade the Vel'Koz. The reason why is because now all of a sudden your board is going to cost 6 gold for your front line, 9 gold for your Vel'Koz, 3 gold for your Sona. That's 18 gold you're expending in the early game just to save like 10 HP. It's not worth it for you to upgrade this unit early game. This is what I really mean by aiming to play a gold efficient board versus playing a stronger board. You don't necessarily want to be the strongest. You just want to be strong enough and save as much HP as possible so you could go level 7 and roll down all of your money for all the good shit like Urgot, Shen, Yasuo, Aphelios, etc. So the next point that I want to cover in this video is going to be the concept of opportunity cost and holding units. So in TFT, remember how I said that you want to make every 10 gold interval possible in the early game? Well, in this situation, I'm just playing my strongest board. And even if I sell off my entire bench, I can't possibly make 10 gold because I only have 8 1-cost units. The max I could get to is 8 gold, which is not enough to make that 10 gold threshold. So I'm using that 8 gold to hold opportunities. Here, I'm holding the opportunity to hit a 2-star Poppy in my next shop. I'm holding the opportunity to hit a 2-star Jhin. I'm also holding the opportunity to hit a 2-star Renekton. This Irelia is also an opportunity because if I actually do manage to hit the 2-star Jhin, this Irelia suddenly becomes a lot more valuable because it opens me up to the 3 Ionia opener. Same thing for Tristana. Because I'm holding the Poppy pair, this Tristana might be valuable if I hit the 2-star Poppy. So now I'm going to get into opportunity cost. So in this next clip, I actually have the opportunity to make 10 gold if I wanted to. However, this is where you have to evaluate opportunity cost. Is it worth me making 10 gold here if I have to sell off so many of my pairs? In my opinion, I think that in this situation, it's not worth it, because the pairs are more valuable than that 1 gold you're going to make, even though gold is so much more important early game. Right now, I hit this Renekton 2. If I hit this Poppy 2 and this Jhin 2, I could actually win most of my next rounds going into stage 3 and 4, which will save me about 20 to 30 HP. And in my opinion, that 20 to 30 HP is more valuable than that 1 gold I'm going to make right now. So in this clip, I also have the choice to make 10 gold or hold on to all of my pairs. In this particular clip, I think it's better for you to make 10 gold here, mostly due to the fact of my items. If you look at my items, I have a bow, glove, and cloak. I could slam Last Whisper early, and this heavily leans me towards an AD comp towards the late game. Because I have this information, it suddenly makes the Cassiopeia pair and the Orianna pair a lot less valuable, even though I already have the 3rd Orianna in my shop to make an Orianna 2-star. So the Cassiopeia pair is good if I have a lot of AP items. It lets me play into Sorks later, or it also easily transitions me into Shurima. The Orianna pair is only good if I have the Piltover opener. However, I'm nowhere close to an Echo, Jace, or Vi, so Oriannas are pretty useless. Even if I put this random 2-star Orianna in my board, it's not going to win me any fights anyway, so I think it's better to just sell off these 2 pairs. I also have this random Irelia, I could sell her off, and there's also a Maokai in my shop that I kind of want to buy because I already have a Bastion frontline, so this actually means that I need to sell off both my Renekton's to make 10 gold for this turn. So the question is it worth selling off the Renekton pair to make 10 gold? In my opinion, yes, because we're already kind of deep into the Bastion frontline. I already have a 2-star Poppy, I also have a Maokai pair, so this makes the Renekton pair a bit less valuable, especially considering the fact that my next in is going to be a Viego anyway. So from this spot, I think it's pretty close, but I think that it's better to make 10 gold here instead of holding on to these pairs. The other topic that I wanted to talk to you guys about is going to be gold efficiency when rolling. So before I jump into that, I wanted to give you guys a quick analogy. Let's say that I wanted to play a game with you and you had to guess a number from 1 to 10. And 5 of these numbers are going to be winning numbers. You have to pay $1 to play, and if you guess right, you're going to get $3 back. So the odds of you winning are actually pretty decent. You have a 50% chance of winning because 5 of these are winning numbers. Now, let's say that I decrease the winning numbers by 1. Let's say only 4 of these are winning numbers. It's still a pretty good deal, but you would be a little bit less enticed to play because the odds of you hitting the winning number are lower. And now, let's say only 1 winning number. You probably would not want to play anymore because the odds of you hitting something is going to be 10% instead of like 50. This topic is actually very similar to a topic in TFT. You're spending 2 gold to roll for a chance to make your board stronger. However, in this case, I'm sitting on a lot of different units that I could put into my board to make my board stronger. For example, I have an Irelia pair, I have a Warwick pair, Jhin pair, Samira pair, Taric pair. That's 5 different units I could hit in the shop. And I'm about to level to 6 and I could put in another unit. Another unit that spikes my board really hard is a 4th challenger unit. So any other challenger unit that I hit could spike my board as well. This could be a Yasuo, Kaisa, and a Kalista. That's 8 different units that I could hit just from pressing D once. So right now, it's extremely gold efficient for me to spend my gold to roll. However, let's say I end up hitting the Warwick, I end up hitting the Aurelia, I end up finding the 4th unit for my challenger, and I end up hitting this Jhin. The gold spent to roll is not as efficient anymore because now there's only one unit that I could hit that could make my board stronger, which is just going to be the Samira. So that's why when people roll down, most people stop when they only have one pair left, because the gold efficiency spent on rolling in that scenario is going to be a lot less than in the beginning. The last topic that I wanted to cover, and also the most complex, is something called tempo. My personal definition of tempo is not only the ability to judge the pace of a game, but also the ability to manipulate your board in a way where you can minimize the damage you take when loss streaking, and also to maximize the gold you save when win streaking. So one thing that I want to clarify first is something called high tempo and low tempo. So a high tempo lobby is a lobby where, for example, it's like a 3 triple prismatic lobby where everyone is really strong, or a lobby where everyone gets 2 tacticians crowns. So in that lobby where you get 2 tacticians crowns, everyone is going to have 2 extra units on their team, and player damage is calculated by the amount of units you lose by. So chances are, if everyone has 2 extra units, people are going to, on average, take a lot more damage per round. So the pace of the game is going to be accelerated a lot more. And in games like these, you can't really afford to sit around waiting until stage 4 to roll. Sometimes if you're low rolling, you just have to roll down to 0 gold at stage 3-2, or you're just going to die before stage 4 even comes. In a low tempo lobby, this is where everyone is econing up and nobody is playing to win fights. For example, in a hypothetical lobby where 8 people start with the augment AFK, this is the augment where you can't do anything for the first 3 rounds, and then at the end you get like 20 gold. In this lobby, because everyone's just trying to econ up and go level 8, people aren't really going to be dealing a lot of damage to each other, so you're not really at risk of dying anytime soon. And in lobbies like these, you either have to econ with them. The reason why is because if 7 other people are econing and you aren't, you're eventually going to get outscaled by them because they're all going to reach level 8 before you, and they're going to be able to get put in all of the legendary units. The other way to play low tempo lobbies is to play around win streaking. Basically, this idea is you want to take advantage of the people playing weak boards and then just win every single fight and play around the extra gold you get from streaking. In the current meta, this low tempo lobby doesn't exist. This was mainly prevalent in sets 6 and 7. In set 6, there was a trait called Yordle, which basically gave you 2 or 3 gold per turn. And in set 7, there was a trait called Astral, which basically gave you 2 to 3 turn as well. However, in the current meta, player damage is extremely high, so most lobbies are very high tempo. So let me show you guys what I mean in this graph. So let's say player A is playing Aphelios. This is power level. He doesn't really roll at 3-2, so it just goes up linearly. 4-1, he does a big roll down. And then he goes level 8 at 5-1, and he roll downs again, and he's like this. Let's say someone else is playing Azir. Azir is going to be a bit weaker throughout the entire game. They again roll down at 4-1, blah, 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 and they're like something like this. And then let's say someone is playing 6 Noxus reroll. So the 6 Noxus reroll, they usually spike at 3-2. So it's something like this. And they get like this, and then they spike again when they hit their 3 cost units. So their board is like this. So in my opinion, the key to good tempo is to stay below these lines when you're loose streaking. And then when you do want to spike, you want to make sure that you're stronger than everyone else in the lobby, but only by a little bit. So for example, right, let's say one very good example of requiring to maintain very good tempo is if you're playing 3 Piltover. When you're playing 3 Piltover, your early game, you usually just want to completely sack the first 5 rounds. So your board might look something like this. You sack, and then you probably want to sack on so far 1 to charge up your T-Hex if you got Piltover at 2-1. And then at 4-1, when you spike, you need to make sure that you're stronger than everyone else in the lobby. And that will happen because your TX will probably be at 30 stack. And then your power level is going to be like this. And then at 5-1, you roll down again, and your board is just going to get stronger, and you're going to be full loose streaking from 2-1 to 4-1. And then you're going to be full win streaking the moment you cash out. So this, you're going to be win streaking from 4-1 all the way until like stage 5. So this, in my opinion, is the key to having good tempo. And I think that this is what makes a lot of players struggle when trying to play comps like Piltover, because they are very reliant on playing like a weak lose streak early game and spiking really hard, but just enough so that they have enough econ to go level 8 at 5-1. The thing is, a lot of reroll comps are inherently tempo comps. They depend on you spiking at times where other comps are weak. For example, reroll Tristana, they roll down for their 3-star 3-star 1 cost. Suddenly they're like this. And then when they push levels, they're like this, and they're slightly stronger than the rest of the lobby for the rest of the game. This is why I think a lot of players fail to play reroll comps properly, because they don't really have a good understanding of tempo. They don't understand when they should be weak and when they need to be strong. If you're playing a reroll comp and you lose your win streak when you're supposed to be strong, you're probably guaranteed buff 4. So this sums up my set 9 econ guide. If you guys enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate it if you guys subscribe to my YouTube channel or even follow me on Twitch. I'm probably going to be releasing more TFT fundamentals videos in the near future. Let me know in the comments down below if you guys want more of these clips where I analyze certain points in the game and what I think the right play is. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.